Bruchim Abayim, Morai Rabotai, to another edition of our weekly Mesilat Yesharim. We are towards the end of Perek Vav in explaining the Midah of Zrizut, alacrity, and in my edition we are up to Ot Zayin. We spoke about the importance of Zrizut, of not letting opportunities pass, of a Ra'ita ish mahir bimlachto lifnei melachim yityasav. When you have somebody that is quick to do things, that is not atzel, is not lazy, does not procrastinate, does not wait for things to kind of be the best opportunity and the best weather and the best this, and just gets it done. Lifnei melachim yityasav. Shlomo Melech guarantees this person will be successful. People look for segula, for hatzlacha. We are am segula. We love a lot of segulot. Everyone is looking at segula for parnasa, segula for hatzlacha. You know what is a universal segula? Zrizut. If a person is a doer, you don't wait, you don't procrastinate. Lifnei melachim yityasav. This person will climb up the ladder of success, up to the pinnacle. He'll stand in front of kings. Now, what happens? You think Mesilat Yesharim, Ramchal explains all these amazing things about Zrizut, all these horrible things about Atzlut. You think an Atzel is this like foolish loser. That's what we think, right? No, says the Mesilat Yesharim. You know, an Atzel becomes a super genius when you want something. There are always ways. When you don't want something, there are reasons, right? Ways and reasons. When there is a will, there are ways. When there's no will, there are lots of reasons why you should not be doing it. And that's what it's going to focus on. If you ask the lazy man, why are you not doing it? He will become a massive Tameh Chacham all of a sudden. He brings Gemarot, and he'll bring you Midrashim, and health reasons, and religious reasons, and communal reasons, and social reasons, and historic exams, and it'll be unbelievable. Mikraot min HaKetuvim will quote you psukim from Tanakh. Ta'anot min HaSechel, logical reasons. Asher kulam yoru lo lefi da'ato meshubeshet, that all of them will direct him to not do what he doesn't want to do, based on his da'ato ha-meshubeshet. He's very careful. He has da'at, he could be very smart, but it's a da'at that's meshubash. Chazal tell us, ahava mekalkelet hashura. When a person loves something, that throws off the order of a logical brain. Your mind is distorted. You have a good mind, you could be a very smart man, but the mind is distorted. When you love something, you can't see flaws for it. When you hate something, you can't see merits for it. Sin'a mekalkelet hashura, ahava mekalkelet hashura. And there's no ahava bigger than a person loving his comfort and himself. When a person decides that I'm not doing this, then his da'at is meshubeshet. He could be very smart, but it's a distorted mind. He will use all of his intellect, and the smarter it is, the more sophisticated, lazy person he could become. To alleviate himself from the pressure and leave himself in the menucha, in the comfort zone of his laziness. And he doesn't even see it. In other words, it's not a person that deliberately decides that I am going to be a lazy bum, and let me find out in Shas and in Poskim and in Psukim where I could rationalize my invalid mindset. He really believes in it. He could, because of his atzlut, he may come to really see something differently because he is biased beneath the surface of the glorified reasoning that he will come up with, sits and resides atzlut. And that forces him to see things differently, and he would swear that this is the right thing. But he's really biased. It's not because he's really honestly thinking and deciding, but his shikul hadat, his judgment is skewed because of the bias, the natural bias that exists. And they are generated from his atzlut, from the laziness. Asher bihiyotah hi goveret bo, when you have atzlut overpowering within a person's equilibrium, then it skews everything, and you see the world in a different way. He tilts his mind to these reasonings. Oh, pasuk says this: it's raining outside. Can't do it. It's cold, it's windy. It's dangerous. What will people say? It's going to hurt the feeling of this person. It's going to embarrass that person. What if there are 1,000 of what ifs that a person could say. But at the end of the day, you didn't do it. The only thing that an atzel, a lazy man, will succeed in is when he tries to do nothing. Otherwise, you're going to do nothing. Because there are always things to say. There are always reasonings to come up with. The definition of a atzel is, the definition of a lazy person is a person that gives up trying even before he's tired. It's like, maybe before he tries even. And that's really the genius of Mesilat Yesharim. He says, look, this person really may think that's the wrong thing to do. But he doesn't realize that it's because of the bias of wanting to do nothing. Now, he says, this is gold. Says the Mesilat Yesharim, he's not going to even listen to people who are wiser and better than him. This is what Shlomo HaMelech says in Mishlei, Perek Chavav, Tet Zayin. Chacham atzel be'inav, meshiv'a meshiveh ta'am. A lazy man is wiser in his own mind, in his own eyes, from shiv'a meshiveh ta'am, from 7 people who are meshiveh ta'am, experts that are giving him reasons. And shiv'a meshiveh ta'am, that means even if they are telling him 7 different remedies. And why 7? Because 7 is the complete realm of nature. Everything that's full capacity is 7 days, right? 7 notes of music, 7 colors of rainbow, right? 7 chokhmot in the world, 7 days of the week, 7 weeks of Shavuot, 7 years of Shemitah, 7 cycles of Yovel, right? And on and on and on. And by the way, the Midrash says Shlomo HaMelech himself, when he wanted to be Ma'aber Shana, when he wanted to make a Shana Me'uber, the leap year, he would bring 7 different Hachamim in front of himself. Because maybe he's doing it because it's Atzlut, like the Gemara says in Yuma for Kohen Gadol. They can't be part of the thing because the water is going to be a little colder one way or another on Yom Kippurim when he has to do 5 tefillot, right? So he's biased. Shlomo HaMelech felt maybe he's biased. 7, and he would not speak in front of them. Imagine, this is the wisest man alive, ever. But he realized the power of bias. And Shiva is always like, there's the capacity of Shiva Sarisei HaMelech ro'eh Penei HaMelech by Achashverosh, right? V'akarov elav kashanat Tarshish meres memuchar. All those Shiv'ah, the top 7 people that were sitting next to Achashverosh, ro'eh Penei HaMelech. So even if you have the top advisors, the best, the wisest, and they tell you, you'll say, they don't know what they're talking about. He'll become a bigger chacham in his eyes. Can you imagine the power of bias, of atzel, of a lazy person? That's the reality of life. And a person that's not mindful of this will completely fall prey to this. He will think all of them are foolish and they don't know what they're talking about. And he only understands. Says, you don't know. I've been there. I've done that. It's not going to work. What are you even saying? And he could be speaking to the smartest men, but he would reject their etzah. Says the Mesilat Yesharim, when a person wants to stay away from bad things, this is one of the rules of thumb. That kol kula slicha b'dika. Any time that there's a voice in your mind that tells you be lenient, just, doesn't matter. You have to check it. Kol kula slicha b'dika. Every leniency, that is not talking about the real pre-shoot. Real pre-shoot is the 4th midah, later on, upcoming. It's talking about that you have to stay away from things sometime in life. And the rule of thumb with that is, whenever the voice in your mind says, just do it, you got to check, because it may be sourced from just being lazy. They just want to be lenient and let it go, not do it. It could be legit. It could be called for. Omnam karov hadavar shtiyeh me'atzot hayetzer umirmotav, but it could very well be atzat hayetzer, the advice of Yetzer Hara, and a trickstery of your negative inclination to just let you lose opportunities and be atzel, don't get anywhere. Therefore, a person has to really, really, honestly examine every little kula, every little thing that you say, it doesn't matter. Really? To look into it, to see what exactly it is. Like, well, I'm tired when I come from work. I need energy for tomorrow. Can't go to a night seder. I can't learn. Or I can't do this, I can't learn with my son, it's just too difficult, it's too stressful. Or any other mitzvah, take any mitzvah. Take any mitzvah, and you'll have this. Especially for Talmud Torah. Especially for Talmud Torah. But it really applies to every little opportunity, every little mitzvah that you have this. Sometimes you go. Now, of course, if you do the search and you say, no, this is a legitimate thing, then for sure it's good, right? But it needs that checking, initial checking. Now, what happens is, nowadays, we are in a much worse situation. Back in the Ramchal's day, the Chazal's day, the Atzel needed to explain himself. They say, I have a midrash over here, I have a Shulchan Aruch over here, I have a Gemara there, a pasuk there. To explain to legitimize his decisions of laziness. Now we live in a generation that people don't even see the need to say that. What are you doing? Chilling. Whatever. If you would say that a generation ago or two, people would look at you with daggers in their eyes. What do you mean chilling? But that's our generation. We are inflicted by litzanut because it's glorified. To be couch potato, to sit and do nothing and surf the web and the channels and just do nothing. Entertain yourself with the entertainment industry, multi-billion-dollar industry that has forced people into believing with advertisements, with it's a psychological warfare. That they've sold this to people, they've fed people this, that it is good to do nothing. Just do nothing, as much as you can. Why wouldn't you just sit in front of and entertain yourself? Why should you do anything if you can do nothing? You couldn't even say these words 2 generations ago. People will think you are a pariah. You will be crazy, man. But this generation, whatever. That's like the biggest word. Whatever. Leave me alone. Just let me do nothing. And we celebrate. It's a celebrated thing. Oy va'avoy lanu. It's woe is to us that we live in a generation that people don't even have to do anything to rationalize why they're not doing anything. They don't have to bring a pasuk. They don't have to give you a gemara. It's talking about a person with conscience. In our generation, they're taking the conscience away. Why does it bother you even? Chill out. Why are you so serious? Well, because life is serious? Nah. You see where this goes. No generation in the history of the world has been endangered as much as we are when it comes to this. Of just doing nothing. We finally live in a generation that life is much easier. Every aspect of life is easier. The quality of life is much higher. The lifespan is becoming longer and better. Finally, people could do things with their life. But to combat that, Yetzirah has this whatever weapon. Because that destroys everything that you could build. Kilalo shel davar, says the Ramchal. The rule of thumb is Chizuk gadol sarich adam litchazek ulhitgaber. You need to really strengthen yourself. Deliberately and manually, you have to do it. It's not going to happen by itself. Arba'a dvarim tzrichim chizuk, like the Gemara says in Lamed Bet Amud Bet in Masechet Brachot. Rashi says, Bechol yom, bekol kocho, every day with all your might, you have to be mitchazek, strengthen yourself in doing the mitzvot, grabbing the opportunities, and making something of your life. B'zrizut la'asot mitzvot, with zrizut to do them. Ba'ashlicho ma'alav koved ha'atzla, you have to throw away the heavy weight of laziness. Ha'ma'kivet al yado, that stops you, blocks you from being able to take advantage of opportunities that are all around you. When the Psukim praise the Malachim, the angels, that is the trait that they are praised with. Shneimar Bahem, the Tehillim David HaMelech says in Kapitel Kuf Gimel, Giborei Koach Oseh Devaro, Lishmoa Bekol Devaro, that there are strong ones, that they do Oseh Devaro, Lishmoa Bekol Devaro. He doesn't explain it here, but I believe strongly that what he means is what the Gemara says. We had it just in the previous parasha of Naaseh v'nishma. We should have it in this week's parasha. This word that we will do before we even hear. The famous angelic recipe. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, "Oh, mi gila razeh lebanai." Who revealed this angelic? Shemalachei asharet mishtameshim bo. That the malachim use this secret recipe of Naaseh v'nishma, that we'll do it with zrizut, with alacrity. Even before we're done hearing it, we're doing it. I said last week The reason you have 3 times you have it in the Chumash. Moshe comes and speaks to them, the Jews say, all of them together say, we'll do. Again, this time, Kol Echad, with one voice, they said, we'll do everything. Not enough. Until the 3rd time, finally, they say, Naaseh v'nishma. That's when you get the Torah. Why? Why do you need 3 times? Why do you need Naaseh v'nishma? What's secret? What is the angelic recipe, the secret of Naaseh v'nishma? You know what it is? Naaseh v'nishma means even before I finish hearing it, I'm already doing it. It's this concept of zrizut. That I get to work even before I finish hearing it. And that we learn from the Malachim. You see that Ramchal is learning it like that. Because Naaseh v'nishma, how do you know that Malachim are mishtamesh with this? Because it says, Giborei koach oseh devaro. That they do the mitzvot of Hashem, nishma bekol devaro. And then they hear it. Naaseh v'nishma. That they're doing it even before. And Pasuk in Yecheskel in the beginning, the Maaseh Merkavah that Yecheskel saw in Pasuk, in Perek Aleph of Yecheskel, Pasuk Yudar, it says, V'achayot ratzov v'shov. The Chayot HaKodesh, the Malachim, the holy Malachim, Chayot HaKodesh, ratzov v'shov, they're running quick, kemarei habazak, like electricity fast, lightning fast. Now we can't be lightning fast. Ha'adam hu adam v'lo malach, says the Mesilat Yesharim. We're not malachim. We can't be like them with, lightning fast. What we could do. Al ken yefshar lo sheyagia ligvurato shel malach. We can't be like them exactly. But vadai kol sheyuchal litkalef madregot elav. What you can be like them, what you can emulate, ra'ui sheyitkarev. You should be as close as possible. Everything of the Avot and Imahot was like that. Ve'el habakar ratz Avraham. Avraham Avinu, for God's sake, he just got Brit Milah at age 100. 99 years old he is. And it's the 3rd day, the most painful day. You know what it means to have a Brit Milah at that age without anesthesia? You know what that means? And he is running. Ve'el habakar ratz. He had so many servants. He was one of the richest men alive. But no, he's going to do it himself. He had all the excuses of a atzel chacham be'inav mishiv'a meshivatam. But Avraham Avinu is doing it himself. He's running, he's shechting 3 cows, he's preparing them, he's washing their feet, he's bringing the butter, he's bringing this. He's doing it. And he's not just going about it, he's running. He goes to his wife, Sarai Imenu, Ma'ari, quick! Shlosh se'im kemach solet, dushi v'asi ugot. Running. Hashem tells him, kill your son. Shecht, bring him for Akedah. V'eshkem Abraham baboker. He's waking up early in the morning. He is saddling his donkey himself. To be quicker, to be more efficient. For what? For shechting his son, because that's the mitzvah. And every single one of the avot ve'imahot and the figures that we respect, they were like that. Every single one of them. And that's what David HaMelech, David HaMelech haya meshabeach al chelko. David HaMelech was praising Hashem on his lot in life, that he gained this midah. Chashti v'lo hitma'amati lishmor mitzvotecha. Hashem, I rush. V'lo hitma'amati. I don't wait. I don't lose time. I don't waste time. Lishmor mitzvotecha, to keep your mitzvot. I do them quick. I do them efficiently. That's the importance of zrizut. Now we start Perek Zayin beve'ur chelke hazrizut. Now that we know how important it is, now you know what the definition of zrizut is. Now you have to be able to break it down, compartmentalize it, to be able to handle it properly in its different halakim, in different parts that it has. Chelke hazrizut shenayim. There are 2 parts of zrizut, mainly. Echad kodem hatchalat ha'maaseh. One is before you start doing the mitzvah, ve'echad achareken, and the other one is after you started already. Right? We briefly explained this in last shiur, how many people start things, they get inspired, they start something, but they don't never finish it. In order to finish a project, you also need zrizut. To do it efficiently and as fast as possible, and bring it to an end, bring it to a closing, complete the mitzvah. Not just start it and then just let it hang. Says the Mesilat Yesharim, Kodem hatchalat ha'maaseh, the first category of zrizut before you start the maaseh, hu shlo yachmitz ha'adam et ha'mitzvah, is not to make it chametz, not to wait it around. Start it right away. Ela b'agia zmana, once the time of the mitzvah, some mitzvot are time bound. Once the time of the mitzvah comes, do it right away. It's time for Birkat HaLevana. And when last week, 2 weeks ago, when the time came for it, it was cloudy, and I'm driving in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, I see it was clear moon around. It was still clouds, and it was 2 nights before the last opportunity. So you could say, "Well, I'm driving now in the middle of a highway. You're on the street. I'm going to get home and do it." But you know what would happen if you did that? Most probably you would forget. Or you could just pull over, get out of the car, stand right there and then, and say Birkat HaLevana. Don't be machmitz the opportunity of a mitzvah that you have. When the time comes for it, do it. Do it right away. That's some mitzvot that are time bound. Or sometimes you have a mitzvah that comes your way. You have the opportunity of doing it right now. And I say, you know what? I'll take care of it later. You have opportunity of tzedakah or a shiur or whatever it is that you, okay, give me the information, I'll get back with you later. Which would mean, translated, never. Most probably. Because you'll forget, you won't be inspired even if you remember it. You won't do it. And the Hizdamnut not necessarily going to be there even. You may get busy, things may come up. Boaz got the Hizdamnut of a mitzvah of Yibum. He was 100 years old. And this woman, Moabite woman that came, was questionable because she was a Moabite. There was a machloket hovering around. Maybe a Moabite woman cannot marry into a Jewish nation. The halakha was passed by the main authorities that you can, but there was still a cloud of doubt was hovering over this topic. Boaz could have had 1,000 reasons why not to do it. And there was a closer person than him. But he took the opportunity, the first moment, that day, he grabbed it, and then he died the day after. He would have never been the father of Mashiach. He would have never merited the tremendous lineage of David HaMelech, Shlomo HaMelech, and Melech HaMashiach that comes from him. If he would say, let me sleep on it. Let me sleep on it. I'll do it tomorrow. Honestly, there would be no tomorrow. But when you have the Hizdamenut of the mitzvah, or when you think of a mitzvah, say, this is a good idea. You're inspired. You're inspired to do something. People are taking, we had this Simchat Torah, the last thing, we sold the hakafot with Dapei Gemara. End up over 12,000 dapim of the Gemara that people took to do it in a small minyan. And there were people there, I bet, that they were inspired seeing kids taking 2,000 blot Gemara, 1,000 dapim of Gemara. And they said, I'm going to think about this and plan it properly, and then I'll see how much I could do. You know what happened with those people? I never heard from them. And there were those people in the crowd that they said, I'm going to do 400 dapim of Gemara. And then afterwards they came to me and said, I have no idea how I'm going to do it. I want to do it. I'm going to figure out a way to do it. You see the difference? See the difference? When you have inspiration of doing something and you do it, you say, okay, I lock this in. Now I'm going to figure out how to do it. I'll do it. A person, when there's a will, there's a way. That is be'alotah b'machshavto. We have an inspiration of thinking of doing something good. Quickly grab onto it, to do it. And don't wait from time to time. In time. Don't let time in between. Listen to words of the Mesilat Yesharim. There is no danger as big as this danger of waiting on an opportunity. Of waiting on an opportunity. Because every second that goes on, something new could happen, that you will lose the opportunity of doing good. And Chazal bring this up to our attention in Midrash Arba'im Bereshit, Ayin Vav Bet, Beinyan Hamlachat Shlomo. When David HaMelech had to make Shlomo HaMelech a king, we know this story. Adoniyahu wanted to announce himself the king. Natan HaNavi and Bathsheba come to David. David HaMelech gets, by the way, they see this result of David HaMelech there as well. This is in the beginning of Melachim Aleph, Perek Aleph. David HaMelech, when Natan HaNavi and Bathsheba come to him, he gets up and he makes a shvu'ah. He says, today I will do it. Today. Why don't you do it tomorrow? No. Today. Today. Because if you wait until tomorrow, God knows what's going to happen. And even on that today, when David HaMelech finishes his sentiment there, he says, he gives the directives to people to take Shlomo HaMelech to Gichon and to nominate him officially as the next king in his stead. And he says, take him to Gichon and make him king. And Benayahu ben Yehoyada was standing there, and he says, Amen, Ken Yomar Hashem. So shall Hashem say. Amen. It should happen. And Chazal asked the obvious question. So wait a second. Shlomo HaMelech was destined to be the king. HaKadosh Baruch Hu had told David HaMelech, Hine ben nolad lecha. You will give birth to a son, Shlomo HaMelech. Hu yiyeh ish menucha. He will be the man of peace, and he will build the Beit HaMikdash, not you. He will be the king after you, and he will finish your job that you start. Hashem promised him. You have a guarantee from HaKadosh Baruch Hu that this man is going to be the king after you. And David HaMelech just took an oath that today he's going to do it. So what's going to stop it from here until Gichon? Like you go to Gichon, what's the big deal? You have to say, Amen, Ken Yomar Hashem, and that. And Chazal says, surely yes. You bet. You know why? Because harbe kategorin yamdu mikan vad Gichon, say Chazal. You know how many kategorin, how many blockages could come up from here until Gichon? Which, you know what that indicates? That even though that you have a guarantee from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there's no guarantee. You have to do it right away. You have an opportunity now, grab it. Grab it. Because if you wait, you have no idea what could go wrong. A lot could change in matter of moments if you don't grab the opportunity. That's what the Midrash teaches us. You could have a shvuah of David HaMelech. You could have the promise of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You could have the destiny of Klal Yisrael at stake. And yet everything could go down the drain if you don't act right away. You hear this? This is so powerful. Rabotai, open your eyes, open your ears, open your hearts. You could lose. You snooze, you lose. Literally, you could lose. Greatness. Greatness that there's nothing second to it. If you just pause, if you just wait, and not act right away. Al-Ken, his hiruz characha. That's why the Chazal in Mechilta in Parashat Bo say, Ushmartem et hamatzot. When it says Ushmartem et hamatzot, Chazal say, don't read matzot, it's mitzvot. Ushmartem et hamitzvot. A mitzvah needs guarding. Mitzvah ba liyadecha al tachmetzena. A mitzvah that comes to your hand, you have opportunity, don't let it wait. Don't. Matzah and chametz. One of them is a mitzvah, one of them is karet. What's the difference? The difference is you take the hay of matzah, you put one dot on top of the thing, the makel, it becomes a chet, and it spells chametz. One dot is the difference between a mitzvah and a avera karet. Of being cut off from the opportunity. You wait a little bit. Before 18 minutes is matzah, after 18 minutes is chametz. You wait one little second, one little minute, and it changes the whole fate of a person. Ve'amru, the Gemara says, Masechet Baba Kama. In Daf Lamed Chet Amud Bet, the Gemara says, Le'olam yaktim adam lidvar mitzvah. Listen to this. Listen to the example that the Gemara gives. A person should always be maktim ledvar mitzvah. Be quick to be first to do the mitzvah. Why? Shebischar laila echad. Shektima bechira leseira. We're talking about Benot Lot. Talking about the daughters of Lot who slept with their fathers and they mothered children from their own father. Something that we frown upon. Now, Chazal say what they say. They thought that they thought good, of course, and so on. The Gemara says, don't play with fire. This is, they meant lishma. By the end of the day, it was a questionable act, to say the least. And they recognized that as well. They meant good. They meant for mitzvah. Whatever the context is there, we're not going to get into it now. But when they thought for mitzvah, even though that this was a questionable thing, the bechira that went first, for one night earlier, bischar laila echad, sheiktima bechira lesira, he went before this era, before the younger one, zachta v'kadma arba dorot b'Yisrael lemalchut. She merited to have a king from her children 4 generations earlier than the other one. Right? You following? You know what that means? Ruth came from Moab. Moab was from the first daughter. Ruth HaMoaviyah, who became a Ger Tzedek, Yoret Tzedek, it was 4 generations before Naamah HaAmonit. Naamah was another Ger that came from Ammon, the child of the younger daughter with Lot. And those 2 women, Ruth and Naamah, their children reached the high ranks of Melucha in Klal Yisrael, of kingship in Klal Yisrael. And Ruth was 4 generations before Naamah. And Chazal say, you know why? Because of one night that she said, I'll do it. Do it. The zrizut of one night of jumping to an opportunity, what they thought was an opportunity. was rewarded for 4 generations earlier. Can you imagine the power of Zrizut? The power of caring not to let something slide. Chazal say, you know why Nebuchadnezzar got the zchut of being the one to be called Adir Levanon Adir Ripol, of being the one that HaKadosh Baruch Hu allowed him to destroy the Beit HaMikdash, to get to a level of emperor that there was no emperor like him. He was the mightiest emperor of all times in some way. The Babylonian Empire in his time was one of the mightiest empires of all time. And Chazal say, you know why? He was a scribe of King Baladan. But one time he was a scribe, so he was sending a letter to Chizkiyahu HaMelech for the nest that happened to him. And he was not in his place in the Lishkata Sofer, and they needed to send this letter. And he came, he saw the copy of the letter that they had sent, and they had said, Shalom to you, Chizkiyahu, Shalom to your God. And he says, that's disrespectful. You don't talk like that about God. You have to first say Shalom to your God, and then to you. Now, if it was me and you, we would say, well, he went already. The messenger already left. It's done. Let it slide. You would say that. Most people would say that. But not Nebuchadnezzar. He didn't take it. He ran after the guy to stop him. That's Rizut. That not letting something slide. And Gemara says, you know, he took 3 steps, 4 steps. The Malach Gabriel came and stopped him, and if he wouldn't stop him, it would destroy the world. And you see the 3 generations that came from him, that were king. And Gemara says, if we wouldn't stop him in the middle of the 4th step, there would be no remnants from Klal Israel left. You know, in a higher level, what that means is his son, right? Ibn Mordach and Belshazzar afterwards, they merited kings. So 3 steps, 3 generations of kingdom, undisputed kingdom. But Malach stopped him in mid the 4th one. That means Belshazzar's daughter, who was Vashti, was killed in the middle. And if she wasn't killed, and the whole story of Esther and Mordechai wouldn't happen, Haman would have finished us. That's the deeper meaning of that Gemara. 3 steps, Rabotai, of a person that was not willing to let something slide. Because that's what you do if you're a Zariz. You don't let things slide. So, it's done already. Next time we'll be more careful. You see the difference? That's the power of Zrizut. Ve'amru, the Gemara says in Psachim, towards the beginning of the Psachim, the Dalet Amud Aleph, the Gemara says, Zerizim maktimim lemitzvot. The definition of a Zariz is maktimim lemitzvot. They're looking for opportunity, how fast and how early and how quick they can do the mitzvot. That's the definition of a Zariz. They don't wait, okay, I'll do it tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning. You do it tonight, you do it tonight. Don't wait for a better opportunity. Everything does not have to be perfect. Perfect is the enemy of the good. You could do it now, do it. Otherwise, you have to really check if the perfection that you seek may be the words of Yetzer Hara put into your mouth and mind. Because they'll never be perfect. And oftentimes it is better for you to just jump at the opportunity and do it. Because who knows from here to Gichon how many blockages are going to come in the way of making Shlomo king, even though that Hashem has promised it and David HaMelech has sworn to it. And that's what the Gemara says in Gemara in Brachot Vav Amud Bet. The Gemara says Rabbi Zerav, when he said in the beginning when I saw Chachamim running on Shabbat, I was like, Mechalni Rabban Shabbata. They're being Mechal Shabbat. Shabbat, you're not supposed to run. You're not supposed to run. Im tashiv Shabbat raglecha. You have to hold back your steps from running. Shabbat is a day of menucha. V'karat al Shabbat oneg. Hilukach benachat. But then he said, I heard the teaching of Leolam, always, says the Gemara. Yarutz Adam lidvar mitzvah va'afilu b'Shabbat. Should always run to do a mitzvah, even on Shabbat. Rabbi Zula says, once I learned that, I started running too. You shouldn't run on Shabbat. For mitzvah, you gotta run. Because that's part and parcel of doing mitzvot. Mitzvah ba'al yadecha al tachmeitzena. Don't wait around. Don't wait around. And as he's going to say later, this is something a person could acquire and develop the muscles of doing. By acting it, you'll become it. For lack of better terminology, you fake it until you make it. It works in this. And says the Mesilat Yesharim, let's just finish this paragraph here. Hu yenahagenu almut. The Midrash says in Vayikra Rabbah, Perek Yud Aleph. Hu yenahagenu almut. What does it mean almut? Hashem will direct us almut. The Midrash Darshins don't read almut with, with two different words, but almut is lashon of alma, youth, a young person. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu directs us. How? Bizrizut. Right? Bizrizut. You got to do it quickly. You want direction from Hashem, the direction is do things fast. Do the things youthful, with youthfulness. Like a young person that does things fast. Does things with vigor, with energy. Not like slow motion. You do it with energy, with alacrity, with fire. And that's the direction HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you. That's what the Midrash says. It says when the Pasuk in Tehillim says, Hu yenahagenu almut, bizrizut, ke'in ulamata. Like these young people, like you say in Tehillim, elsewhere, in Perek Samechet, in Capital Samechet, betoch alamot tofefot. Within the young people, that are tofefot, they're quick. Ki hazrizut hi midat hashlemut gadol. The greatest perfection, one of the greatest perfections of humanity, says the Mesilat Yesharim, is midav zrizut. It brings you to perfection. Ki hazrizut hi midat shlemut gadol. Is a massive part of a person's shlemut. Asher tiv'o shel adam mon'ah mimenu ata. That your nature fights it. Your nature wants to sit and do nothing. But if you want perfection, you got to develop zrizut. You got to fight for it. You got to build those muscles. You're not born with it. You're going to develop that ability of being zariz, of flying, kal kanesher, ratz katzevi, of jumping at the opportunity and doing it. A person that strengthens himself, overpowers the nature's atzlut and laziness, and grabs onto the midav zrizut, kol ma sheyuchal, so much as he can. You're faking it right now. You're fighting the nature every time that you do it. But la'atid yavo, you will be zoche to it. You will merit to become it. It becomes a second nature to it. Asher haborei yitbarach yitenen l'scharo. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give you the schar of it. Chelef ma sheishtadel achara bizman avodato. Because of the hard work that you had in the time of your avodah. Which again, means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, la'atid lavo will give you, right? But it's also, as he's going to discuss, something that becomes second nature and becomes easier for a person as you do it. The harder you work in the beginning, the more of a second nature it becomes easy. You get siyata d'shmaya. Like the Torah itself, the Torah was not naturally coming to Moshe Rabbeinu. He was learning and forgetting for 40 days and 40 nights. And at the end of the 14 day and nights, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave it to him matana. He said, okay, now I'm going to give it to you matana, as a gift. Similar idea applies to this as well. You do it and it's hard. You do it and it's not natural. You're pushing yourself. You're fighting the laziness nature of a human being. But you do that enough times and HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives it to you matana. It becomes a part and parcel of a person's nature, second nature. And that's something beautiful which is going to discuss. Bezrat Hashem will continue this in the future shurim. Chazak u'baruch.